Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Thursday, September the 20th, 2018. Good to have you all here for our second of two shows this week. Apologize for the late start. A lot of stuff going on. It's been one of those family type nights where a lot of stuff's going on. Not, anything to concern yourself with, but, just got delayed. So 2 times this week we got delayed. So I apologize for that. But show must go on, and those of you that stuck it out and waited for us, thank you very much indeed for that. And we'll try to give you a good show and try to make it as usual fun and informative and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, let's get right down to business. When we first start off, I'm reminding you all the ways which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 401 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our Facebook page once you're on it, so you can interact with us and all that good stuff. Again, so apologies for being late tonight. We don't have a lot tonight. This is one of those weeks where we just don't have a lot going on. We'll do the box office beat. We'll do a little bit of a fall TV preview. We used to do a lot more with this segment, but I got in the habit of just doing like a general overview of it because I just think it just gets tedious after a while. Because a lot of it, for me, I like to focus on the shows once you've seen them. To me, it's more beneficial to talk about new shows and the returning shows once you've seen them. So, we'll basically just give you an overview of the shows, of what's going to be hitting the airwaves over the next couple of weeks and what shows people are being highly recommended. People are looking forward to, that kind of thing. It's just gonna be a general overview, so don't get too wrapped up as that could be some big long thing, but it'll be substantial enough. So we'll do that tonight. We'll also talk about I didn't put this in the show description pretty much because it was kind of like a late ad and something I just kind of looked at right now. But we'll talk about, Bob Iger's interview related to Disney and all the things that have been going on with Disney and the firings, the hirings, and the, acquisition of Fox, all that good stuff. We'll talk about that here tonight as well. And that's on the entertainment side. On the wrestling side, we got Raw and Smackdown highlights. We'll talk Hell in a Cell, and that will be the wrestling side of things for tonight. So, again, not a whole lot going on here, but enough to to fill a show, I would say. We also are going to give our statistics for the TV award. People have been asking about those. We'll do those towards the end of the show as well. So, because people have been asking about those. So, all right. So let's get right down to business. As I mentioned on Tuesday, we are not starting our new format for the show next week. We'll be leaving that for October 1st. So that will not start next week. Next week we'll be having a similar schedule to what we had the last couple of weeks. We'll be doing 2 shows, both Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Tuesday will be sports. Thursday will be entertainment and wrestling. That's the way we'll do things next week, just like we've been doing the last couple of weeks. So just be aware of that. And then all the new stuff will start the week after next. So just want to get that out in there so people, out into the public realm so people know what's going on. All right, so let's get down to business here since it is late. And, I don't want to keep you all up too late. It is a work night still, tomorrow's Friday. So, all right, so let's do some box office first. That's what we like to do when we do these entertainment shows. Start with the box office first. Excuse me. Pardon me. That's why I was lingering without saying anything, folks. Gotta get that sneeze out, so excuse me for that. All right, let's do some box office right now, as we always like to start with the box office. And after a pretty decent start to September and the fall movie season, last weekend wasn't exactly what I would say Hollywood would have liked. Now, and I think that's because you had a movie coming out in The Predator that really was like your typical, it was a true blockbuster, something that you usually see released in the summer. and even though it's September, your expectation was still relatively high. So seeing what it did, what the Nun did last week, your expectation was still high. You were thinking it could make maybe 30, 40, 50 million. Well, it only comes in with 24.6 million. The budget was only 88 million. It's already made 66.2 million worldwide, so it's probably going to make a little bit of a profit, not a lot. Certainly not enough to probably continue on with this franchise. So what happened with the Predator? Obviously the scandal with the actor probably didn't help. And, Shane Black's way he handled it probably didn't help. But I also think, too, and I saw articles where they said, well, if Arnold was a part of this, people would have went and saw it and all this. I don't think that would have mattered. Here's the thing. I just got done saying last week how I think one of the things that helped The Nun do what it did was that there hasn't been a true kind of like horror movie for a while. And I think that's what helped it last year, too. We've seen a lot of movies like The Predator over the last couple months. You've seen a lot of action adventure movies. You've seen a lot of movies like that. And, I just don't think there was, and I also don't think there was a huge amount of people clamoring for a Predator reboot. Now, there were a lot of people that I saw that were sort of excited about it, but I think some of the reaction got tempered when they saw the way people were reviewing it, and man, we all know reviews matter sometimes. So, I think there was a combination. Plus, I think some of the weather, the hurricane and everything, I think that could have played a role here too. It's not a horrible total for September. It's not really that bad, but for the kind of movie it is and the hype and, what we've seen some movies lately in September do, it kind of does pale in comparison. So it's not a disaster, but it's not great. And it probably kills any chance of it becoming a major franchise going forward. So that brings the whole box office down because there was much higher expectations for last weekend. The Nun dropped from first to second, a 66% drop. What do you expect for a horror movie? Came in second, 18.2 million. It's not bad. You take it. It's not bad at all. And then two other new releases from last weekend. A Simple Favor, that came in third with 16 million. That's a little bit better than I expected for that film. So that could have, maybe that kind of helps out the overall box office for the weekend because, you maybe figure made a couple million more, and that could have went to the Predator. So, it kind of evens out in that way. White Boy Lick came in fourth with 8.8 million. Getting not too bad there. And then you had a couple holdovers follow up behind there. Crazy Rich Asians, which dropped from third to fifth with 8.6 million, and Peppermint, which dropped from second to sixth with a little over $6 million. The only other new release last weekend of note was Unbroken Path to Redemption. That came in 10th with 2.2 million, which is right about where I thought it would fall. Everything else under 5 million, or everything else not worth mentioning. So all in all, if you take into consideration the fact it's the second full week of September in the fall movies, it's not a bad week. But when you consider the Predator, for many people, did underperform, even though A Simple Favor probably overperformed a little bit. That kind of brings the weekend down. So it's not a disastrous weekend. It's certainly a weekend that kind of keeps some momentum from what happened in the first week, but it's not as good of a box office weekend as I would say how I would have liked. But it's, again, not a disaster at all. And that sets the stage for next weekend. I know I'm hurrying, but there's not much else to say about last weekend, so why not move on? And one of our fans has mentioned, well, do you think the R rating hurt? The R rating didn't hurt Predator, okay? We've seen enough R-rated movies come out and do better than that. The R rating didn't hurt Predator. Just did. All right, so let's set the stage for this coming weekend because there's a lot more to mine there than there was last weekend. We have 4 major new releases, okay? 2 of which are going to be opening in a good amount of theaters, and 2 that are more on the smaller end. The biggest release is The House with a Clock on Its Walls, a fantasy film from Universal, opening in 3,592 theaters. PG, starring Jack Black, Cate Blanchett, Kyle MacLachlan, and Colleen Camp, directed by Eli Roth. Been well advertised. It'll probably find an audience. Family movies tend to do well at this time of year. I mean, I don't see it breaking the bank, maybe 20, 25, maybe 30. But I don't see a huge number here. Might be enough to take number 1, just by default. But it'll do okay enough. The second biggest release is a film called Life Itself, a drama from Amazon Studios, opening in 2,570 theaters. R-rated, starring Oscar Isaac, Olivia Wilde, and Annette Bening. Getting a lot of talk, awards talk, and very well promoted. I could see it pulling in about 13, 14, 15 million this weekend. I think that seems like a good bet. It's got enough pop to it. So yeah, I could see it pulling in a decent number, maybe taking second or third this weekend for sure. And then you got the two other releases that I mentioned, on the small end of the release scale. The first one, Fahrenheit 11/9, a documentary from Briarcliff, opening at 1,719 theaters, directed by Michael Moore. I could see this being making about 5-6 million, maybe a little over 7. Michael Moore's got his fan base, and a lot of people will be interested in this. So yeah, I could see it doing that. And then you have Assassination, a thriller from Neon, opening in 1,403 theaters. The film came out of Sundance. It's R-rated. Maybe 2-3 million. It's gotten some buzz around it. 2 or 3 million, I could see it doing. Not much more than that. If it, not much more than that. So, all right. So the way I see this thing going, as I said, A House with a Clock at Walls, I think will take number 1. I'll go 25 million. I could see it going to 30, maybe. I could see it going lower at 20. But I'll go in the middle. I'll go 25 million. Second place, I'm going to go with. I don't know if Predator's going to hold strong enough. You know what? Let's go with Life Itself. Let's go with Life Itself about 15, 16 million. And I'll go Predator 13, 14. It'll be close between those two. Let's see. And then we'll go The Nun. We'll go with The Nun around 8, 9 million. A Simple Favor around 8. Fahrenheit 11/9 around 6.5, 7. White Boy Rick around 6. Crazy Rich Asians around 5.5. Peppermint maybe right around 5. And I think everything else will be under 5 million. So I think this would be this weekend will be fairly similar to last weekend in a way, which is not bad. We keep some of the momentum and you don't really drop off. But yeah, I think this coming week will be a little bit similar in terms of how they line up in terms of the totals and whatnot, which won't be bad. That's not bad for the third week of September. The weekend after next, things will begin to start to pick up as you move into, October. You have 4 new films: Little Women, Night School, the Kevin Hart comedy, Smallfoot, an animation film, Hellfest, a horror film. Things start to pick up, and then as you get into October, you have some big movies, like First Man, Goosebumps 2, Venom, A Star Is Born, Halloween, Serenity. So there'll be some decent enough movies in October that could draw some good numbers. But right now you're kind of dealing. It's not quiet. It's been a much better September as a whole than I think people would have expected, but it's not huge or anything. I don't think October will be either, but I think it'll be a little bit bigger than September is. But this weekend should be about on par with last weekend, which is never really a bad thing. Better to stay the same than drop off, obviously. So, yeah, that's the box office. So not much else. Not much to talk about there. I think, I thought once we got into the fall, it would be a little bit more things to talk about, but there really hasn't been too much to talk about. Maybe once the holiday movie season hits, we'll have more to discuss. But right now, not a whole lot of storylines going on right now as far as the box office goes. So people have been asking, we will do a kind of like a rundown, maybe next week, of how the summer movie season is. Just like an overview of how things went and everything. Obviously, it was a much better summer than last year, but we'll talk about all that. I think we'll do that next week. So for those who are wondering if we're going to do that, our summer movie report card, we'll do that next week. All right, so that's the box office. Now, fall TV preview. Let's jump into the fall TV shows here. Now, in case you haven't noticed, some networks are starting things a little late. Now, of course, you had the Emmys on Monday, and I don't even want to give my thoughts. I thought it wasn't a bad Emmys. I thought the production sucked. I thought the host sucked. I thought I didn't really care for the way they presented the awards. I didn't like the announcer. announcing the nominees and having the presenters come out and just give the awards. It just looked very came off choppy. I didn't mind the winners though. I thought as a whole the winners were pretty good, so I didn't mind that. But the production itself I thought was terrible. And I think the Monday night thing was a total flop. I didn't like it. I didn't think it worked. I think you're going to see it back on Sundays. And I think, their attempts to try to hook the younger audience failed miserably by trying to speed things up, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work. So, but yeah. Anyway, let's jump to fall TV because obviously things, and like I said, some networks are starting late. I know NBC's debuting a lot of their stuff the first week of October, like Roseanne. I mean, not Roseanne. The Connors is starting in October. So, things are a little bit, things are starting a little bit later this year. But nonetheless, really the new shows and the returning shows are upon us now, starting next week. And there's a lot now. Look, as far as returning shows go, obviously there's going to be a lot of interest in Big Bang Theory. It's their last season. Obviously there's going to be a lot of interest in, some of the shows come back at mid-season. Gotham in its last season. Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. come back next summer. A lot of shows like Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, they're all coming back in. They're all coming back in the spring. So you have that going on. So a lot of things. Really, it's just about the networks. In the fall, not really the cable and the streaming networks. There's not a whole lot going on with those. So we really just focus on the networks and what they have to offer. Now, I'm trying to look up my slots here of what we have to look at here. Let's see. Okay, so we have. Okay, so obviously there's going to be a lot, in addition to returning. Now, I think you can count the Connors as a returning show. Because it's basically Roseanne. It's about Roseanne. So a lot of eyes will be on that show. It debuts in October. Murphy Brown kind of counts the returning shows come back. It's kind of like a reboot. That will be a big deal, obviously. I know NBC's got their big Chicago Wednesday. We'll see how that works out. That'll be something worth looking at. We got reboots of Charm, a reboot of Charm, which a lot of people think are a flop, including me. On CW, Empire will be back. Grey's Anatomy will be back, obviously. So, a lot of shows that people, all the DC shows on the CW, a lot of shows, This Is Us. Those are some of the shows that people have their eyes on. Now, the new shows that have a lot of interest. Oh, and I would say also Lethal Weapon because of all the controversy and Sean William Scott coming on board. No, but as far as the new shows go, what are the ones that everybody's going to be keeping an eye on? Well, Manifest, the NBC supernatural drama starring Melissa Roxburgh and Josh Dallas will be one that a lot of people keep an eye on. It has a very lost feel to it. We'll see how that works out. So that's one that I think a lot of people have an eye on, as well as their new family workplace comedy. I Feel Bad, which they're really pushing. So that'll be one that I think a lot of people have their eye on. I know I'm talking about a lot of NBC shows, but really, the NBC shows are the ones I've seen the most ads for, to be honest. Fox has a new show called what's it, Rel? That I think it kind of could be interesting. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think of what else on. Let's see. Let's see what else is here. Obviously, the return of Last Man Standing is obviously something that a lot of people are going to be keeping an eye on. Let's see here. New Amsterdam. That's the other show I was thinking about. The Line Ego drama. Line Ego, the Course of the Blacklist. That one's getting a lot of hype. That could be a big hit, and on the same vein as The Good Doctor from last year was for ABC. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. So that's definitely so. Those are a couple shows new shows that people be keeping an eye on. I'm NBC, but um, you know, I'm trying to look at a couple of the new ones from the other networks because I've seen so many ads for the NBC shows. I feel like I've seen nothing for CBS or ABC or hits. That'll be something people will be interested in. Oh, The Kids Are All Right. Will premiere on October 16th. That's one that's getting a lot of talk. That sitcom for ABC. Um, that's something that a lot of people are interested in. It's set in 1970s Los Angeles, so it's got to have a different vibe to it. So that's something that would be really interesting to keep an eye on. The Cool Kids from Fox. That one's looks different. Looks different. You got Vicki Lawrence, David Allen Greer, Martin Mull, and Leslie Jordan as a troublemaking quartet of feisty old coots living in a retirement home. So that's interesting. That's an interesting concept that I think will be interesting to a lot of people. Already, now I said we were going to talk about streaming or cable, but already that's a show that started. It's called Kidding on Showtime, which features Jim Carrey teaming up with his internal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind director Michael Gondry, who it's a very interesting show. It's like a dark comedy, but it's got a really interesting vibe to it. It's already debuted, so if you're interested, you can check it out on Showtime every Sunday. That's something that I think a lot of people might be interested in because Jim Carrey on network on television. What else? A show called The Passage on Fox, star Mark Paul Gosselaar. Looks somewhat interesting. They haven't announced a premiere date on it yet, but that's something that I think they got a lot of faith in, and it might appeal to some people that have an action vibe to it. So, so those are a few of the shows. If I'm being honest with you folks, there isn't a whole lot of new shows this year, and a lot of shows are going to be a lot of the big shows are probably going to start at mid-season. There's not a whole lot of new ones, and not a whole lot of new ones with a lot of hype. It's interesting to me because this has been the least hyped amount of new shows that I think I've seen. Normally you see so many advertisements for new shows. I've literally seen NBC have a couple of like New Amsterdam and I Feel Bad and The Manifest, but other than that, I haven't seen any other networks have really a whole lot of promotion for other shows, and I haven't heard a lot of pop about any other shows, a lot of hype about other shows. Normally you don't. Normally the percentage of commercials featuring returning shows versus new shows is not nearly as close as it is, and it is this year. I think I'm maybe even more so in terms of returning show. I think I've seen more returning show ads than I have new shows. So maybe that's maybe that's a sign. Maybe there's these networks. I'm not saying they don't have faith in the shows that they're putting on the air, but to me, it's just interesting that you don't see as much hype for this crop of new shows when usually there's a lot more hype. Even if internally they don't have a lot of confidence in the show, they try to sell it like they do. This year, not so much. Not so much. Makes you wonder. I'm not sure. I'm sure they're not all going to be flops, but it just makes you think that maybe this is not the best crop of shows for the networks. They don't have a lot going for them this year. So we'll see. We'll see. I am interested in New Amsterdam. I'm interested in Manifest. I'm interested in I Feel Bad. I'm interested in Man PI. I'm interested in that's one CBS show that gotten some hype, but I'm not sure how it's gonna work. Probably work fine. CBS shows usually work fine. I've already checked out Kidding with Jim Carrey. I didn't like it. I thought I would because I liked Internal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but I just didn't like it. Kids Are All Right sounds good. I would probably check that one out. ABC's usually good about those family type sitcoms, so I'll probably check that one out. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have a lot of interest in anything else. I really don't. Nothing else appeals to me so far from what I've heard or what I've seen. Again, that hasn't been much. And that's probably what's so different about this year compared to any other fall TV season I remember. I just don't see a whole, usually there's like a whole crop of shows for each network, and you're constantly seeing ads for them, and it's like, wow. Not this year. It's been a different kind of year. Maybe streaming and cable stole the thunder of the networks. They just don't have as much stuff to offer. I don't know. Plus, the idea that new shows can debut all year round makes things different too, because you don't have as much debuting in the fall like you used to have. So now you have more mid-season, even in summer, because they know they can debut shows all year round now, and people are going to find a way to watch with all the ways that you can watch TV now. So it's not like before when it seemed like almost everything debuted in September, October, and then that was what you had. And you could, only have a few shows for mid-season. Now it's everything scattered about, so it's a different television landscape, really. So again, this is a general overview. That's why we're kind of all over the place. That's why we're not going into specifics. But those are the shows that have the most hype. I highly recommend that I'm interested in. Again, not a whole lot of hype going on as a whole for any of these any of these new network shows, and more hype for the returning shows. And again, you could kind of count shows like the Connors and Murphy Brown as new shows, even though they're reboots if you want to. So, those would be probably some of the more hype shows anyway. But I don't count them as new because, Connors, Space for Roseanne, Murphy Brown was on before. So just bringing it back. So those shows be shows to definitely keep an eye on as well, obviously. So I think it's going to be an interesting fall season. See how some of these reboots do. Will and Grace will be back for a second run. It dropped off majorly by the end of its first season. We'll see if it can pick it up. How the Connors does about Roseanne, how Murphy Brown does, and Man and PI does, and it's to me the reboot part of it is going to be the most interesting to see how these shows, because if they continue to do reasonably well, you're going to keep seeing reboots. That's what you're going to keep seeing because it's an easy thing to do. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on as you go through the fall TV season and beyond. But I think it's going to be an interesting fall season. I think NBC is going to have a good fall. I think their two new big dramas, Manifest and New Amsterdam, are going to work very well for them. I really do. I think those two dramas are going to work really well for them. And they're already on a solid streak. They got This Is Us. They got the football. I think things look good for NBC this fall. And if ABC can get the Connors to work out well, and they can get Kids Are Alright to work out well, and then they have the middle spinoff that'll be starting, I think, in the spring. They get those to work out, then they have their successful comedy blocks that they can use, and then they can build around it with dramas. So I think they could do well too if their comedies take off very well. And CBS, I think this could be an interesting year for CBS. Because they've always skewed older, that's their thing. I get that, but they're losing Big Bang Theory. They're seeing some drop off. They got a lot of controversy, obviously, and I'm not going to talk about here because it's been talked about ad nauseum. But they're kind of in a state of transition right now. It's going to be interesting to see how they get through this year and what they start looking for programming in the future. Because I think they're going to have to start shifting towards what is, what we're seeing in the television landscape in terms of like the kind of dramas you're seeing and what kind of comedies you're seeing. Because cable and streaming has changed the game. People want different programming now. And CBS got away with the procedural and the same kind of sitcoms for the longest time, and they still have success with it. That's kind of been their formula, and they still have some level of success with it, but not as much. And it's time for them to start implementing some different programming in the midst of the stuff that they do that works, so that they can kind of stay the tide and stay competitive. And Fox could be a big year for them because they need to find some hits and they need to start to rebuild their network. With the acquisition to Disney, Fox, things are going to be changing for them. And also they have Thursday Night Football now, so that's one less night they really have to program, at least for the fall. So we'll see how they go forward here, and if they can find a couple of hits and start to build a foundation and start to build themselves back up after having a couple really bad years. So should be a very interesting fall TV season, and we'll talk about it along the way. And TV highlights will be back next week. So over the next few weeks, as we do our TV highlights of the week, we'll obviously review some of the new fall shows, some of the returning shows, and that's kind of what I like to do. When I do the preview now, I do an overview. And then, as we go along over these next few weeks, we'll kind of talk about these shows as we watch them. or as they debut, and then that's how we can really truly, preview these new shows and even these returning shows and get a sense of them and really kind of talk about them. So that's the way I like to do it. So, but I think it'll be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting season for television. It really is. Because the networks are going to have less competition in the fall. Once January hits, things are going to get different because a lot of big shows are coming back to HBO. A lot of big shows are coming back to streaming networks, and that's when things are going to get tough competition-wise for the networks. So, and spring is always a rough time for them anyway, but it's going to be even more so with the competition that's going to be filtering out. So, all right, so that's our kind of our fall TV overview. Again, we'll talk about some of the new shows, and of course, there's some of the returning shows over the next few weeks when we do our TV highlights. And then with that, we'll give more of a comprehensive analysis of some of these shows and what they bring and what ones are, working and what ones aren't, and that kind of thing. So, all right. So for entertainment, because that's all we were going to cover, that's all we plan to cover for entertainment tonight. From entertainment, we shift to a little bit of wrestling, and let's do Hell in a Cell first, because obviously Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, Raw and SmackDown kind of followed up on Hell in a Cell. First of all, I thought Hell in a Cell was a really, up until the last maybe 2 matches, was a very good pay-per-view. Very good pay-per-view. I liked the matches. I liked the tag team match, the open. I liked the Orton Jeff Hardy match was fantastic. I thought every match up until the Ronda Rousey match and then the Roman Reigns match, I thought was great. I thought they all served their purpose. I thought they built story. I thought the Becky Lynch winning was the right decision. I thought it was a great match. That was AJ and Joe was good. I probably would have put the title on Joe there, but that's a personal preference. But I understand why they did what they did. I thought the show moved well. I thought they did a very good job. I thought that was a good pay-per-view. Then the Ronda match happened. I guess because it was fairly predictable in that, we knew that Ronda was going to win the match. Something that took away. I like that they tried to work a match and Ronda's selling, the ribs and everything. I didn't mind that so much. Just for some reason, I kind of wish they just didn't sell it as a match because she destroyed Alexa at SummerSlam. And I guess I can appreciate variety and trying to give Alexa a little bit of a rub and make it so that she's somewhat competent in the ring against Ronda. But to me, it just felt like a waste of time. It really did. I don't mind having Ronda have that with like Nia Jax or somebody else, but Alexa, I guess, you know what? I didn't take it as a slight that Alexa got squashed by Ronda at SummerSlam. I feel like she should. And I don't have an issue with that. And I guess I kind of felt like that should have happened again. But even though, again, I appreciate the variety aspect of it, for me, it just felt like a waste of time. The main event was a mess. Now, look, by the time the pay-per-view went on air, it was obvious that, well, not obvious, it was known by everybody on the internet that Brock Lesnar was there. Okay, so, there was no surprise there. But I thought at the very least they'd have a winner. How you can stop a Hell in a Cell match? How you can stop a Hell in a Cell match? And really, just think that it's okay and that the crowd's going to go for it and not boo, which they did. They did it off the air, mind you. And clearly WWE knew that this was going to be badly received because they got off the air quite fast. But yeah, how you can try to sell that. I mean, this is the same match where Undertaker threw Mick Foley off a cell. They almost stretched him out, and they continued the match. How many Hell in a Cell matches have we seen where guys got stretcher jobbed or had worse injuries, and they continued the match? And I totally thought when I was watching this match that they were going to have especially when Brock F5'd Roman Reigns on top of Braun Strowman. I totally thought, because Roman was laying right on Braun, that was going to be the pin. And I think that would have been smart. We should have had a winner, and then, Brock interfered. Braun has a reason, because we all knew Braun was losing the case. Roman Reigns was not losing the match. We knew that. We knew that going in. So it really was just, oh, I mean, again, kind of like a waste of time, and you don't even have a result. How is it? I mean, it's a Hell in a Cell match. And as bad as it was, it was pretty bad because they weren't using the set cell. So much of the attention was on the outside with the Shield interrupting and Dolph and Drew interrupting, and that was cool. Don't get me wrong. And let me just say this too. Okay, I don't mind the spot. I don't mind the spot of Rollins and Dolph hanging off the cell. I don't mind that, but we've seen that a million times. The guys that they go halfway because I know the cell's massive now. You can't run what you ran 10 years ago. I understand that wholeheartedly, okay? But here's the thing I don't like. It's telegraphed. As soon as they start to move halfway down the cell, and you see them start to headbutt each other and fighting on the side of the cell, you know what's going to happen. They keep looking down at the table. And I understand it's a safety thing. But people can see what's going to happen. And poor Seth Rollins made it even more obvious by basically throwing himself off the cell instead of trying to naturally just fall off like Dolph did. This, a, this, a, this, again, I appreciate it. And, you want to do those kind of spots in the match because it gets the crowd hyped and everybody's happy, blah, 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 blah. Okay? People feel like they get their money's worth in a Hell in a Cell match as long as somebody goes off a cell. We all know that. Okay, Shane McMahon spoils us every year when he does these cell matches and he jumps off the top of the cell like a psycho. Okay, but the thing is, you can't telegraph it and it can't be predictable, and that's what it's become in a lot of ways. And this match was predictable. But you know what? You can live with that. You can live with those things, and you can live with the laziness of not using what was in the cell and everything if you get a result. Because honestly, nobody was going to be in that match because we all knew what the result was going to be. But at least we would have gotten a result. Okay, even if it was what we thought it was going to be, we didn't get that. And they had the perfect setup with the way Brock F5'd Roman. He was laying right on top of Braun Strowman. You could have just had a pin. Instead, Brock comes in. I don't have any issue with that. I think that was a cool moment, especially him, kicking down the door of the cell. That was awesome. And climbing the cell door, which I thought was equally as awesome. But boy, you get the awesomeness of Brock interfering in the match and laying them both out and leaving. And then Foley getting Mace in the face, which was kind of funny. We all thought Foley was going to do a dangerous spot. And that was the spot, which is, kind of funny. But anyway, it was just like lazy booking. Oh, we're just going to call the match now. They can't continue. It's a Hell in a Cell match. Undertaker threw Mick Foley off the cell. And they continued. You've seen some of the Hell in a Cell matches we've gotten. And they still continued. Once you make a match like that, you can't sell people on that they can't continue bullcrap. You can't do it. Can't. You ruined an otherwise good pay-per-view with those okay, forget about the round the match because that was just my personal thing. But the last match just killed it. Killed the pay-per-view. Now we find out it was all set up. Brock Lesnar was always going to come back, and now they're going to do a triple threat at WWE Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia on November 2nd. And again, this goes back to what I think is one of the core problems with WWE right now. You're using pay-per-views to set up other pay-per-views. Sometimes to set up TV. That can't happen. You want to continue a feud, fine. Tell a story, continue a feud. But don't give us non-results just so you can have a match at another pay-per-view or a network special. Stupid. It's lazy and it pisses off the crowd. Now it's Super Showdown in 2 weeks. You're not even going to have the Universal title defended. So the next match time you see that is that Crown Jewel on November 2nd. In that triple threat match between Brock, Braun, and Roman. Which we really need to see Brock versus Roman again. I know it's a triple threat, but still. We really need to see that. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, look, with Braun in there as a triple threat, it should be interesting. But we all know Roman's going to win. They're not going to take the title off him right now. But how do we put it at him? So we know that's happening at Crown Jewel. And there's also, we've talked about Shawn Michaels over the last couple weeks coming out of retirement at that Saudi Arabia show, teaming up with Triple H against Undertaker and a partner. Well, it looks like that partner's going to be Kane, shockingly, because I didn't think he was going to have the time. So it looks like that match is going to happen. So we should see set up to that match at Super Showdown in 2 weeks. So that's interesting. Because the Undertaker stuff and Shawn Michaels Triple H stuff has been some of the best stuff on Raw over the last couple weeks. And Undertaker again was had another good spot on Raw on Monday night. His promo was great. Look, I thought Raw on Monday was good. A lot of movement, a lot of setup. You know, I liked the main event with Roman and Corbin. I thought that was good. If not predictable, I thought that was good. No, I thought Raw was good this week. It's too bad about Alexa Bliss. As you all know, she's injured. We don't know how long she's going to be out. They had to replace her in the Mixed Match Challenge with Ember Moon. But yeah, it sucks that she's hurt. So we'll see how, if that affects Evolution in a month or not. But yeah, I thought Raw was good this week. Thought the main event was fine. I thought the Undertaker stuff was good. The Ronda stuff I thought was okay. And I mean, the opener was good. I thought they had a good show this week. And I thought SmackDown's been kind of dominating Raw the last couple weeks. He's going into Hell in a Cell. I thought SmackDown had the week of the week. Becky Lynch, Charlotte stuff I thought was great. Other than that, everything else, maybe it's because a lot of it was this continuation. Whereas it felt like at least Raw had some new stuff going on. Maybe that was the difference. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it didn't have a lot going for it. The only something I felt like was worth something was the Charlotte and Becky Lynch stuff, which I thought was great. Great. I mean, I like the Daniel Bryan Miz feud. I like the AJ Joe feud, but it just felt like they're going in slow motion now. Like they're going through the motions. It's like, what's this climb? I mean, at least give us a break from from these guys for a while. If you want to pick them up for WrestleMania, that's fine. But at least give us a break from these guys for a pay-per-view or two, so we can feel like it's fresh again. That's the way I feel about it. But yeah, I felt like Raw had a much better week than SmackDown. I really do. But I think as a whole, I think WWE had a good week. I thought Hell in a Cell was good enough, on the main event. Raw I think was good, and I think SmackDown was at least decent. So I think they had a good week. And it's good momentum. I think, I think maybe next, I think the fact that they're having, Super Showdowns in 2 weeks. All right, so another big event, and then they got Evolution, and then they're going to have this Saudi Arabia show, and I think with so many different events going on, and at least some kind of direction, it feels like things are moving. I think things will be a little bit better now than they were before SummerSlam and the weeks after SummerSlam. So that's a good thing, because I think WWE needs to kind of dig itself out of this malaise it's been in for quite a while, pretty much since WrestleMania. So all right, so that's the wrestling. That's all I had to talk about with the wrestling. Again, very quick. And I said we didn't have a lot to do tonight, so I figured a show coming on about an hour, just like Tuesday, and that's exactly what's going on. But I promised you all statistics, so let me give you those statistics. And these are just for the winners, not for the nominated. I should give nomination statistics out, but I don't. All right, so people want to know what network, what shows did the best on TV awards night, right? So it's kind of jumping back to entertainment now, folks. We did entertainment, went to wrestling, now back in entertainment again with these awards. So, all right. So let's see. Let me just pull up my stuff here. Okay. Um. Okay. So here we go. All right. So for networks, ABC had 18 wins. Um. NBC had. Trying to pull down. Uh, okay. Um. NBC had 5. CBS. I don't think CBS had a lot. That's for sure. I'm just pulling this down here. Let's see. CBS had. There it is. CBS. Let's see. CBS had 2. CBS had 2. Wow, that's low. Um, Netflix had quite a lot. um, let's see. Hulu had. Let's see. Netflix 1. Okay, let's see. So, okay. So that's 8. 9, okay. Okay, Netflix had 9. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Netflix had 9. And if a network only had 1, we're not going to mention it because, Rob I mean, I'll briefly mention it, but um, Okay, so who had one? All right, I'm just trying to make sure that because some reason I'm not able. I don't think these are this year's. So hang on, folks. I'm sorry about the dead air and the wait here. One. Okay. Okay. Three, four. Okay, who had the 4? Well, that one was right. Okay, so whoever wrote that one down was right. Because remember, the same people that did tabulated the votes for us did this. So I'm trying to. Right, so that's 4. Okay, so that one was right. I just saw some information that suggested that some of these weren't right. In terms of counting. 1, 2. Okay, USA had 2. 1. I think HBO only had the 1. I think that number is right too. And remember, we're not really recognizing anybody that had 1 because that's and syndication too. Because it's like it's sort of like Ellen are syndicated. So um, okay. All right. Okay. So HBO only had the 1. All right. That's what I thought. Okay. So let's see here. Showtime, I know had a lot. Let's make sure that's right. Okay. 2. Which I thought Showtime had a lot. Yeah, I was wrong about that. Yeah, Showtime only had 2. Why was I thinking they had more? Weird. All right, so Showtime only had the 2, and then Fox had I think 2. I think 2. Let's see. One. Yep, they had 2. Fox had 2. Fox had 2, and the Disney Channel had 2. So that's the way the network breakdown went. Everybody, there's a couple other ones that had 1, but I'm not gonna go into them because again, it's kind of like tedious to do that. Just the ones that had multiple wins. So Disney Channel, Fox, and USA and Showtime had 2. HBO I said had 1, and there was a bunch of others that had 1 too, like Food Network and um um. Well, I'll mention to you what ones had 1, just so that you all that's where it can be in the interest of being complete. Um. Okay, in the interest of being complete here, the shows that had one win, or networks that had one win, um, Cartoon Network with Rick and Morty. Ellen DeGeneres Show had 2 wins for being syndicated, so obviously that's, um, keep that one separate. Who do you think you are for TLC? So 1 for TLC, 1 for Food Network, Guy Fieri Guy's Rant's Kitchen. Um, Jeopardy 1, 2, and that was syndicated. Freeform, Marvel's Cloak and Dagger for Freeform. That's 1 they got. Sandra Oh, Killing Eve, BBC America. That's 1. So 1 for BBC America. And that's all the shows that had 1 win. Shows that had 1 win and networks that had 1 win. So there you go. It's just that people know, um, you know, um, so that people, in the interest of being complete, people know um, what shows outside the ones that had multiple wins, what networks had it got at least a win. Um, let's see. Okay, now as far as shows go, um, we know for a fact that some of the big shows that night were The Middle, Agents of Shield, um, Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things. Those shows pretty much carried the night. Um, so again, shows that had multiple wins is what we're looking for. Um, really. So 2, 3. Let's see here. The Middle had 4. Um, Handmaid's Tale had 4 as well. Okay. Four. Stranger Things had 6. Two, 3. It's 4, 6, 7. Agents of Shield had 9. So that's far and away the winner for as far as how many they won. So Agents of Shield had 9 wins. Gotham had 2. Jeopardy had 2. Ellen DeGeneres show had 2. Wade show James Corden had 2. Now, obviously, if you from an actor standpoint in terms of wins, obviously, if you were one that won in your genre category earlier in the night, and then you won like outstanding overall supporting actor, supporting actress, or whatever, then you won twice. And the people that won twice were Noah Schnapp. Actually, he won 3 because he won breakout actor as well. He's probably the top. Yeah. He won breakthrough performance. So Noah Schnapp actually is the actor that won the most. Actually, he's tied with Clark Gregg. Clark Gregg won lead actor and an action adventure and a dramedy, and then also lead actor, overall lead actor, and then also was a winner in outstanding ensemble. We count that. So, so Clark Gregg and Noah Schnapp had the most wins among actors. They had 3. Otherwise, you had Ann Dowd with 2. I was Noah Schnapp with 3, Clark Gregg with 3, Elizabeth Moss with 2, and everybody else had like 1. So, so yeah. So again, as far as actors go, Clark Gregg and Noah Schnapp had the most wins with 3. As far as shows go, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had the most wins at 9. The second place was Stranger Things with 6. The Middle and The Handmaid's Tale both had 4. And then a lot, then you got a couple shows with 2 and then 1. And as far as the networks go, the way it went was this: Fox, USA, Showtime, and CBS all had 2. HBO and many others had 1. Hulu had 4. NBC had 5. ABC had 18 and at Netflix had 9. So ABC won that with 18. Of course, HBO having 9 helped them. So that's the breakdowns as far as the statistics go for the In the Spotlight TV Awards. Obviously, if you want me, you have any questions, you want me to, answer, if you have, maybe missed a part of the show here, didn't hear me say something because there was a lot of dead air. I apologize for that, but I was trying to. The way I got the statistics, they weren't very clear. It was just a bunch of like. I got it in the different formats. Everything was kind of effed up and things were kind of all over the place. So I just want to make sure I had them all right. So I kind of went through the list and made sure they were valid as far as how many wins each show got or actor got and whatnot. So that's why it kind of took me a while to work my way through, and that's why there was so much dead air. But obviously, if you didn't hear something or if you have another question or you want me to regurgitate this again to you privately, then feel free to Facebook, tweet us, or email us, and I'll be happy to do that. But yeah, so those are your statistics that you've all been waiting for in regards to the TV awards that took place 2 weeks ago. There were good TV awards, and again, you can kind of see that with the way that things kind of fell in terms of wins and such. So, all right. So with that being said, we are done for tonight. We got through everything we have to do, so that is it. I want to be done before midnight, and I am, so that's good. As always, just because the show is over, that means you have to stop interacting, contributing to our show, continue to have your voice heard, send us your questions about the show, the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, or breaking news items, radio sports, entertainment, wrestling you want us to cover, questions about the show, the scheduling of the show, topic ideas again, reactions, comments, opinions on things we talked about on the show, things we said, anything you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And of course, as always, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In Spotlight 401 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our fan page once you find it or once you're on it. Again, follow us on social media for the latest information about the show, especially when there's delays or postponements, delays like tonight. Obviously, I didn't let you all know. I haven't let you all know a lot lately because it's been kind of spontaneous. But when I know, like if it gets to like 5 of the 5 minutes before showtime, and I know it's gonna be a delay, I usually let people know when it's when it gets to that time of the show, and then all of a sudden there's a delay. I can't really let you all know because I'm kind of stuck. But yeah, so you know about delays and postponements. You know all the latest information about the show, and of course we also post random things on our social media as well. So you have you have access to all that. Make sure that you follow us on social media. Follow us on Twitter at itspotlight401. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything you can tweet regarding the show. And again, as always, find us on Facebook to search In the Spotlight 401 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our fan page so you can interact with us and all that good stuff. Two ways to keep up the show and look back at classic episodes. You can either stream us anytime on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on both those sites. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show page on both sites. You can stream every episode we ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube. Every episode from mid-October 2015, all after tonight's current episode. Those episodes are available for you to stream anytime you want. So if you're interested, check us out on Google Plus and YouTube and check out those episodes. And to do that, just search In the Spotlight 411. And when you're taking our show page, you can check out those episodes and so much more. If streaming is not your thing, maybe prefer to listen to us on the go, maybe prefer to listen to us just in general because you don't like seeing our ugly mugs on screen. Maybe you're interested in older episodes of the show. If any of this applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, to search for In the Spotlight 411. And when you do, you'll be taking our show pages on both sites. You'll have access to every episode we've ever produced in the 8 years we've been doing the show. It's every episode from our original Blog Talk Radio run from October 2010 to January 2011. All of our episodes from our talk show run from January 2011 all up to mid-October 2015. And all of our Google Plus and YouTube episodes from mid-October 2015 all up to tonight's current episode. All episodes available in audio format for your convenience. All episodes listed from the most recent date, that being tonight, all the way to the oldest, way back in October 2010. All these episodes available for you to listen to anytime you want. Maybe you're a long-time fan, want to check an episode again from 4 or 5 years ago. A new fan wants to check an episode like that for the first time. Maybe you want to get all caught up on it, so maybe you missed a few episodes recently, missed a part of an episode. Any of these things you can do by checking us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on those sites, and you can do all that and more. So Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes. And Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes are ways to keep up the show and look back at classic episodes. To search for In the Spotlight 411. And just search for In the Spotlight 411. Then I give another shout out to my co-host Mike, not with us tonight again. Hopefully in a few weeks he'll be back with us. So hopefully everything's going well for him. So we wish him well. I pat myself on the back for another great show and thank all of you again for your support and patience and your understanding and all that you do for the show, all your contributions to the show. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, we were late both times this week. I apologize for that. And again, thank you for your understanding in regards to that and everything that we do. And thank you for sticking by us and tuning in and all that good stuff. That is it for this week. I know this wasn't the best show. You know, a lot of dead air, a lot of spacing out and stuff like that. But you know, we muddled through. We got through it. Got what we had to get done. I just wanted to double check things, and sometimes that means dead air and means kind of a slow plotting kind of segment. But you know, it is what it is. So sometimes you just, you know, like I said, it kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes you have a bad night. Sometimes you have a bad show. Sometimes you think things are going to come out better than they sound, and you know that's how it works. But anyway, thank you again to all of you for your continued support. That is it for this week. Next week again, 2 shows, both at 10 o'clock Eastern time, both on Tuesday and Thursday. Again, Tuesday sports will cover NFL, college football, baseball. It's the last week of the baseball regular season. We'll talk about the Jimmy Butler stuff that's going on in the NBA. We'll talk about all that. Well, obviously, we talk about the NFL, the fact that the Cleveland Browns got their first win in 2 years tonight against the Jets. Well, what's happened to the Jets after the first week? Crazy. But we'll definitely talk about that on Tuesday. So that'll be your sports on Tuesday. Next Thursday, entertainment and wrestling. We'll talk all things WWE and all things wrestling, Raw and Smackdown highlights, entertainment side, box office beat, TV highlights will be back as we will be in the first week of the new TV season. So we'll do all that and of course the box office beat as well on Thursday. So that's what's coming up next week. And the week after, we'll start our new show format and have some fun with that. So, all right, so that's what's coming up next week and beyond. Until next week, I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great weekend, and a great start to your week next week. We'll see you back here, broadcasting and streaming live on YouTube at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time this coming Tuesday, September the 25th at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night, everybody. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.